Welcome in, everybody, to Grind Time. I'm your host, Billy Muzio, and we're going to be running through the Week 4 injury recap, kind of running by the positions to see the final injury designations heading into the Sunday matchups to help answer any of your start-sit questions. There's some news that has been breaking late tonight, so I thought it would be worthwhile doing a quick podcast and answering any start-sit questions because there's been some news that's definitely going to be shaking up a lot of fantasy lineups heading into tomorrow's slate. So I'm going to run through the intro, and we'll get back. We'll get started running through quarterbacks, then we'll do running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and answering all your start-sit questions as we are going. So stick around, and we'll get started soon.
Welcome to the Full-Time Fantasy Podcast, presented by the Fantasy Football World Championship, home to the industry's most accurate rankings.
Welcome in, everybody. It is Midnight Madness with Billy tonight. Jose has it right. Late night with me. There's some breaking news that's been happening tonight and throughout the day, so wanted to get some start-sit questions answered for you. So if you have any in there, start loading them up into the chat. I will answer them as I have breaks in between players, or if it kind of matches what I'm talking about at that given time. Let's go ahead and start over at the quarterback position. So Jameis Winston was ruled out this evening, and they ended up signing a practice squad quarterback to back up Taysom Hill and Andy Dalton. We expect Andy Dalton to be the backup in this scenario. Taysom Hill probably gets mixed in. If you're thinking about starting Taysom Hill, I would probably just look elsewhere. I know there was a lot of players who were asking me a lot of start-sit questions this week in regards to Taysom Hill, and there were some prominent names that I would definitely choose over him that people were offering to start over Taysom Hill this week. I mean, an argument could be made, and if you're in a super deep league, I can understand the logic behind it, but if you're in a standard league, 12 teams, starting one tight end, no tight end premium, it's a very tough it's a tough way to start Taysom Hill. So I would be avoiding him, even if he does see an uptick in some quarterback usage or some goal line packages, because he does also have rib injury. He's slated to play tomorrow versus the Vikings, but he is coming off that rib injury as well. So again, Jameis Winston's ruled out. Mac Jones was also ruled out today, so we expect a pretty heavy run play for the New England Patriots this weekend. So I don't think it's going to be as heavy as we saw versus Buffalo last year, but I would expect somewhere in the neighborhood of probably 30 attempts on the ground, if not more. So I definitely think that we're going to see a pretty run-heavy attack for New England. So Jacoby Myers, who was also ruled out for the Patriots, so this passing attack is already going to see a little bit of a hit as well. So New England probably going to be a favorite on the ground. So I would be avoiding the passing game for New England this time around. We have, let me take a look here, my notes. I think that's it for quarterback. If I miss somebody, we'll come back to it. But let's head on over to running back. So David Montgomery was ruled out with his ankle injury. There's no surprise there. It was a long shot to play this week anyhow. And so there's a couple plays here. If you have Herbert, great. He's a must start this week. He's probably going to be a top 13, 14 back in this offense that continues to just hammer the ground game. Tristan Ebner in very deep leagues is also a very a pretty deep play. I would say a sleeper play. If you're desperate at the running back position, I'd say go take a look at your waiver wires. If it's 2 or 3 running back league, I would say it's probably worth a look at least. Looks explosive, so definitely has some upside there for this offense. But I think the play is going to be Herbert primarily. You're welcome, Ben. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, throw them in there. I'll go ahead and get to them here shortly. And we get some news in some injury updates, and then we'll go through and get these start-sit questions. Running backs. So let's continue to running backs. Boston Scott was ruled out for Philly. I think that's just going to consolidate the touches down to Miles Sanders, consolidate touches down to Gainwell. So I think this is good for the backfield as a whole. Boston Scott being out doesn't really affect most lineups. So I would say if you have Gainwell or if you have Sanders, expect a slight uptick in touches for both of those guys. Deandre Swift was ruled out this week. So wheels up for Jamal Williams. The Lions have a lot of weapons out this week. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown out. They ruled out DJ Chark tonight. Swift is ruled out, so I would expect a pretty heavy usage for Jamal Williams, he's going to probably see an uptick in the passing game as well. Craig Reynolds is the name to look out for on waiver wires and add him just as a speculative add. It could be a really deep league. You could possibly start him, but I think it's more of a speculative add at this point and a handcuff now to Jamal Williams because we probably going to expect Deandre Swift out for the next couple weeks. I probably not going to see him back until after the bye week. So probably two to 3 weeks out for Deandre Swift. Alvin Kamara is going to be playing. Is questionable, but he did not have a setback last week. We expect Dalvin Cook to be on the field, so he was definitely practicing this week, so no concerns there. Definitely think you'd want to have handcuffs. So Madison, of course, is the main handcuff there. If you want to take stabs at other guys, go ahead, but I'd probably just leave it as Madison. Dobbins expected to play this week. No setbacks from last week, so that's all good news. And we're expecting an uptick in usage this week. So Hill saw the most snaps out of this backfield last week. I think we'll probably see a similar snap share this week just to ensure that he's in the fold and he's not going to be overworking himself. It's going to be a tough matchup as well this week. So I think they're probably going to ease him in a little bit more, but I would not expect, a 65% snap share from Dobbins like some people are expecting, but I don't think it's going to happen this week. So probably a couple weeks away from seeing that type of workload. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of these questions. Thanks for tuning in, Chris. Always glad to answer questions. So question we have here: on the fence between two cash lineups and DraftKings, which would you go with? One with Brandon Cooks and the Bears defensive special teams, or one with Romeo Doubs and the Packers defensive special teams? So there's some weather that is going to be affecting some of these decisions tomorrow. If I recall, I think the Bears game was one of them. So we have forecasts of wind gust up to 30 miles an hour for the Jacksonville and Philly game, also the Buffalo and the Baltimore game, and the third game that we're expecting some high wind is also Chicago versus New York. So let's wait and see what this weather looks like in the morning, but I'm going to lean right now. Probably lean. I just like Brandon Cooks a lot more than Romeo. I'm leaning that way right now, but if this weather is going to be temperamental and if we're seeing 30 winds, 30 mile an hour winds, I might change my mind. But as of right now, Brandon Cooks. But let's check the weather in the morning, and feel free to shoot me a message on Discord and I'll get that answered for you. Trevor Lawrence or Russell Wilson, 6 points passing, TV, and a 0.25 per completion. Okay, the 0.25 per completion changes a little bit. Again, we're seeing some tough weather in Jacksonville, or the Jacksonville Philly game. They also have he's also facing Darius Slay, so I'm gonna lean Russell Wilson here. He hasn't been pretty, but I definitely think that Russell Wilson's probably gonna be the play this week with weather and the tough matchup. A couple more questions. Let's take a look in here. How far down is Goff now? Would you start Jones, Garoppolo, or Mills over him? Goff definitely takes a hit with all his weapons out. So as I stated earlier, we have Amon-Ra St. Brown out. We have Swift out. We have Chark out. Definitely has some concerns this week. Luckily, he still has Hawkinson Reynolds, who's been a familiar face for Goff, who is going to be one of my sleeper picks, so we might as well talk about it now. In DFS especially, he's cheap. I think it's like $5,600 on FanDuel. So if you are looking for a high upside play that's cheap at the wide receiver position, Reynolds is definitely the way to be looking, because Goff has a lot of familiarity with him from their days in the Rams. We've already seen him target him even in games where we have Amon-Ra St. Brown and Chark on the field. So with both of them off, I would expect some pretty good usage here this week for Josh Reynolds. So sleeper play of the week, especially for DFS, is Reynolds. I would say I'm still starting Goff over Garoppolo. Mills is a little bit more intriguing, but I'm still probably starting Goff this week over both of them. But it's a lot closer without the weapons. Stats Guru has two starters, no PPR: Zeke, Gibson, Pierce, and Ingram. I'm going to be going with, it's a tough one. Ingram's out for me, so let's look at Zeke, Gibson, Pierce. I'm probably leaning Gibson and Pierce. It's close, but that's the way I like it. Pierce is seeing a lot more snaps after the first week. When we saw Rex Burkhead come down at the snaps, it kind of just immediately went downhill for Burkhead, and Pierce just started catapulting up. So Pierce is seeing a lot of snaps, so I'm going to go Pierce and Gibson on this one. PPR pick 2, Christian Kirk, Deontay, Mike Williams, and Olave. Oh man, these are, every time I try to, there's so many options here, so many different ways you can go. do you have another flex that you could like? Do you have to? You can only play 2 of these guys. Is like who do you have on a flex that you're starting over some of these guys? That's my question. Go ahead and see if you can answer that for me. Super C and B challengers. If there's any way to put a third of these guys in here, because I would love to be able to start Kirk, Deontay, and Mike Williams. And Mike Williams is going to be a big play this week because you have Keenan Allen who went to who was ruled out, and you have Guyton who went to IR. So it's just him and Palmer now, and Everett at the tight end spot. So Mike Williams a must start. Deontay, it doesn't matter what happens, he just always gets his targets. Christian Kirk has been a wide receiver 1, so it's hard to sit any of these 3. So if there's a way that you're able to. I try to get him in there. So he did answer the question. I need a wide receiver because I already started Jamar Chase. Oof. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you're not starting those guys with Jamar Chase on a week-to-week basis anyway. So if I have to pick, let me go back to what it was. I think it was, there it is. Kirk, Deontay. I'm going to say right now, we'll double check with the weather, but I'm going to lean Mike Williams and Deontay. But if the weather calms down, Christian Kirk has to be in, and then but I'm probably right now I'm going to say Mike Williams and Deontay. But let's check again in the morning with the weather. I'm going to keep going with start-sit questions because we have a bunch of them flowing in, and I got to keep up. Flex spot PPR, Lockett versus Detroit, Zeke versus Washington, or Greg Dortch versus Carolina. I'm going to go with Zeke here still. I don't love it, and at least he got his touchdown last week. It's going to be a touchdown or bust in my opinion. So Lockett's been more involved, but the passing game is inconsistent in Seattle. So I'm going to go with Zeke and just hope he gets the touchdown here. I don't like either of the options, quite frankly. Stats Guru says Olave and Kirk for him on the last question. Okay, pick two PPR: Madison, Walker, Mooney, Aguilar. Oh my God, this is ugly, Jose. Man, this is real ugly. I'm probably gonna lean Mooney and Peoples-Jones. That is ugly though. I think you're screwed either way, quite frankly. So I don't think it really matters because these are coin flips at the bottom of the barrel right now. If just going to continue to hope that Mooney and the Bears get it together. The over-under, though, on passing yards was like the lowest I've seen in history. Is 148.5 for Fields this week. So very low over-under on the passing yards. Hopefully Mooney's able to kind of get something going. It has not been promising, though, and this offense is looking stagnant. Fields does not look good. So I don't like any of these options, but Mooney has the highest upside, so we're going to throw him in this. And then I'm probably going to throw in Peoples-Jones just because he's going to be on the field probably a little bit more than the other guys. So don't like it, but those are the two I'm going. G says Gabe Davis with ankle and weather or ETN the flex. If Gabe Davis is going to play, I think that's at least what we're hearing now. We got to always check warm-ups because you never know what's going to happen. I've definitely had reports before where they say, "Oh, he's in, he's fine, he looks good," and then warm-ups happen, and then something got tweaked. So watch warm-ups. If this is a game that you're relying on, make sure you're watching warm-ups of this game, making sure that you have beat writers tuned in, and making sure that we have Gabe Davis's ankle, on lockdown, and that we know that nothing happened during warm-ups. Because if he's in and he's healthy and he's fine and nothing happens during warm-ups, there's no other answer here. Gabe Davis over ETN pretty easily. Penny over Ayuk this week, full PPR. Oh, I like Ayuk still. We're seeing Ayuk has definitely been more involved this year. Penny hasn't been doing what we saw him do at the end of the year last year, and we're starting to see Walker get more involved. And the passing game, although it's not great, they're still moving the chains. But I'm going to go with Ayuk for an upside. So I like Ayuk in full PPR, but that's a coin flip also. It could go either way, quite frankly. So if you have I think this one, if you just prefer a player over the other one, it's so close to me that just go with the player that you like personally. It's one of those things where it's a coin flip. It really is. And we can go through the analytics and say this is going to happen, that's going to happen. But at the end of the day, these are the ones that could be super close and it can go either way. And I'm going to say just go with whoever you like the most. But I lean Ayuk in this situation, but you could really make an argument for Penny over Ayuk this week. PPR, pick 2, Christian Kirk, Deontay, Mike Williams. So we just did this one. Okay. Need 2 out of 3 half-point PPR. Pierce, Kamara, Dillon. Ooh, okay. Well, I'm going to say Kamara is one with Michael Thomas out. When Michael Thomas has been out, the splits with Kamara, he sees a huge uptick in the passing game. So I definitely think Kamara is in on this one. I'm going to lean with Dillon over Pierce. Again, very close. Let me pull up my rankings just to see exactly where I have them. So that way I'm not going against my own rankings. So I have Kamara as running back number 13 this week. Probably going to get moved up to 11 by tomorrow morning because, again, these aren't finalized until the morning. I do have Pierce slightly ahead of A.J. Dillon. So there we go. I corrected myself. So, yep, Pierce here. So we're going to go with Pierce over A.J. Dillon. It's close, though. It is very close. But I'll go ahead and stick to my rankings. So Pierce and Kamara is the answer for me this week. And Zeke or Josh Reynolds flex PPR. Oh man, 2022. Here we are. I'm going to go Josh Reynolds. I actually am. A lot of people might not like that, but I think he's going to see a pretty good amount of targets this week. Again, there's no Swift, there's no Chark, there's no Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I would not be surprised if Reynolds saw 8, 9 targets, if not maybe 10 targets. It's definitely within the realm of possibilities where I think Zeke's going to need a touchdown for the payoff. So I'm going to lean Josh Reynolds on this one. Again, he's my sleeper play this week, so I like it. Would you start Jacobs versus Denver, Ramondre versus Green Bay, or ETN versus Philly, half PPR? I'm going to go with Ramondre versus Green Bay. People have been running all over Green Bay, and I said earlier, Mac Jones being out, probably going to see a lot more running game here for New England. So I'm gonna lean with Ramondre Stevenson here. And the next question we have is James Conner or Cordarrell Patterson, PPR flex. That's a good one. Patterson's also a little banged up. I definitely expect him to be on the field. And Conner, though, they've been talking about wanting to get him more involved. I'm going to lean Conner here. It's very, very, very close. Like I have Patterson at like running back 15 in my rankings and Conner at like 17. So very close. I was waiting to hear more on Patterson and watch warmups tomorrow, but I think Conner, I feel like they've been talking about getting Conner more involved. So I think this would probably be the week it's going to happen. So I'm going to lean James Conner here. PPR, Schultz or Everett with Keenan Allen out. I'm going to go with Everett here. Schultz coming off the injury as well. Definitely has a little, he's probably not going to see a full amount of snaps. Also a possibility of re-injury at any given time. So I'm going to lean Everett here. When we've seen splits, anytime there's another receiver out, Everett's probably going to see an uptick as well. Olave or Lazard as flex, half PPR. I'm going to go Olave here. Olave has been a beast, so continue to start him. And his watching some of the practices this week, it looked like that Dalton and him had rapport as well. So I'm going to lean Olave here over Lazard, even though Rodgers loves Lazard. I still think Olave's been heavily involved. You're welcome. Thank you for thanking me. I just appreciate you guys tuning in and chatting football with me tonight. And looks like I'm caught up in start sit questions. The last one, Cordarrell Patterson, questionable knee, did not practice injury, limited practice. So yeah, exactly. That's why I lean Conner here as well as he had that injury. So I definitely think it's worth noting. Like I said, I had him back to back. The rankings aren't finalized, but Patterson probably moves down my rankings. PPR with point per first down. Okay. So you get a point for a first down. It's a full point for a first down? Is that accurate? Or is it like a fraction of a point? If you can just clarify on that, because that makes a difference. If it's a full point PPR, if you think it's a full point for first downs, geez, that changes things. Hold up. Give me a second. I got to kind of just digest this. So you get PPR points. I would have started Bateman over those guys. But then if you're getting a point per first down, Stevenson could see a lot of short yardage as well. So if he can get 3 first downs, that's 3 full points. Yeah, so it is full point and full point first down. Wow. Okay, oh man, that's tough. Normally it'd be pretty easy, and I'd go Bateman here, but because of the full point, Jelly, I don't know if you are a subscriber to the full-time fantasy channel, or at least the over at the site, I should say, not channel. But if you are, we have customized rankings, and you can put the customized ranking there. I haven't done this with the full point for the first down, so we could do some quick research. But if you're able to log in, go to the rankings, go to customize, and then you can punch in your settings for this league for the full point for first downs and see what that does to the projections, because it takes all of our projections for the week and then boom, it just spits it out based upon your league settings. I'm still going to lean Bateman here just because I'm not familiar with that type of scoring. I want to see how many first downs real quick. While I got you here, I can just do some quick research. Let's go to NFL stats. Let me take a look. I'm curious. Yeah, it's going to take me more time. Why don't you do me a favor? Message me on Discord tonight. I'm going to do a little bit of research on that. I'm just curious how much that actually sways it. Because like I said, if it wasn't for that first down, the full point for the first down, I'd be going Bateman here pretty easily. But I want to see how many first downs Stevenson has gotten, how many first downs Hunt has gotten, how many first down Bateman's gotten, and then I can make a better decision. So message me on Discord. I'll do a little bit of research tonight, and then I'll answer you privately. A couple more questions have flown in. 1 point PPR, pick 2. Kirk, Olave, Sutton, or Metcalf. I'm gonna go. Oh man, those are good options, Jose. Much better than your first start sick question. I'm gonna lean with. I'm gonna go Sutton and Kirk here. Kirk has just been so good, and so Sutton and Kirk for me. You could argue Olave over one of them, but I'm gonna go Sutton and Kirk here pretty easily. Next one is need 2 in a full point PPR. Zeke, Pollard, Damian Harris, Cam Akers, and Dobbins. Probably gonna go Pollard and Cam Akers here. That's close though. Let me check my rankings real quick. Okay. I mean, Zeke in this group could definitely be in as well. You don't want to start both of them though. You know what? I'm gonna change my mind. Let's go ahead and go Zeke and Cam Akers here. Zeke's gonna see the bulk of the 1-2 downs, and if he gets a touchdown, he's good for it. Pollard's gonna need to break away a couple big runs and a catch. So I'm gonna lean Zeke, and then probably lean Akers here. So it's close though. I mean, you could throw Pollard in over Cam Akers if you wanted to, but I don't really like starting both backs on the same team, because if the team gets shut down, you get shut down. So I have Pollard ahead of my rankings, ahead of Cam Akers, but I think in this scenario, if you're going to be starting Zeke as well, you don't want to start Pollard simultaneously. So I'm going to lean Zeke and Cam Akers. Okay, start set questions are caught up. Let's go back to player news. I said Dobbins was going to be playing tomorrow. We have Brandon Bolden, who was not listed on the final injury report, is back this week. Damian Williams is still out. Caleb Huntley's the name to look out for. Atlanta elevated from the practice squad with the news of Cordarrell Patterson being a little banged up. So that's never promising news for the starting running back when they elevate another running back. So again, let's watch the news in the morning for Patterson, but something to keep an eye out if you're a Patterson owner. Let's go ahead and move on to wide receivers now. So I mentioned earlier, Amon-Ra St. Brown is out. Michael Thomas is also out. We have, let's head on over to the Giants, where we have 3 outs. Tony is out. Wan'Dale Robinson is out. Of course, Sterling Shepard's out after tearing his ACL at the end of that game. We have Keenan Allen, who I mentioned earlier, is out. Guyton went to IR as well, so Palmer's a must-start this week. We have Kumaro, who's out. We have A.J. Green, who's out. I think that's it on the outs, unless I missed some on wide receiver. Oh, here's a question. Dynasty question. Craig Reynolds, Tristan Ebner, and Dynasty pickup. Dynasty, it's going to be Ebner, but Reynolds is going to be a beast this week. So you may want to just pick him up and use him this week and then hopefully get lucky. Maybe Ebner's there next week. But Craig Reynolds is probably the play for this week and possibly next week as well. So I'd play this short term because I don't think either of them are going to be winning Dynasty leagues in a year or two. So I'd probably play this short term and go Craig Reynolds here. Let's head over to the tight end position. So we know Schultz is going to be playing probably, but coming off that injury, I'd say he's going to be limited. And let's see what we have here. Brevin Jordan was ruled out. That's why they got Atkins moved up into the lineup. Dawson Knox is questionable for week 4 against the Ravens. We expect him to play, but so he is on the optimistic side of questionable, but we'll see what happens. I said earlier, Taysom Hill is going to be playing week 4 against the Vikings, so we expect to see him kind of mixed in a little bit more, but I would be kind of hesitant to start him in any fashion, so I'd be looking elsewhere. I think that's it for tight ends. So that's the brief injury update for the week. News that came in late tonight. If you are still in here, a couple guys that are not ruled out yet but are questionable. Christian McCaffrey just got announced like half an hour ago by the news outlets that he's going to be playing tomorrow. Gabe Davis is still questionable, but he's expected to play. Again, I just mentioned Patterson, but we got to monitor that. The other questionable receivers we have are Gage, Julio, and Godwin. MVS, Rondell Moore. So a couple of names to monitor in the morning. We have... I'm going to go Aaron Rodgers here. Goff is without a lot of weapons, and I know Rodgers hasn't been great, but in this scenario with Goff being out, Swift, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Chark, it's going to be Aaron Rodgers pretty easily this week for me. Zeke or Jamal Williams this week? Oh, this one's easy. Jamal Williams for me. Jamal Williams for me is a top 8 running back this week, so I expect a heavy dosage of Jamal Williams. He was already seeing pretty much 50% of the snaps with Swift when he was on the field. Now that he's off, you can expect 65 to 70% Craig Reynolds to mix in for the remainder. So pretty easily Jamal Williams. He was already seeing goal line touches. Now he's going to pick up the passing game. So pretty easy Jamal Williams. Do it and don't even think twice about it. Question on Khalif Raymond. I've seen him ranked around wide receiver 65 for PPR, which translates to 7.9 points or so. Would you consider him safe enough to start for cash on DraftKings? No clue what his floor is. I would not be starting Khalif Raymond in cash games. That's more of a GPP play, in my opinion. I don't know what if you're playing on DraftKings or FanDuel, but if you can throw the price, I don't know what his price is without pulling up the app. But if you want to throw his price in, 3,100. There it is. Thank you. 3,100. That's cheap. That's the bottom of the barrel. I mean, if I don't love it. I mean, because he could easily throw up a 0 for you, and so I'm probably looking at splitting that cost and going like 5,600 or whatever it is for Reynolds on there, and try to find someone else in that same range. But I don't really like Khalif Raymond as a cash play. It's more of a GPP play in my opinion. You're welcome, Ron. I think that's it, guys. Just a quick 30-minute show. If you have any more questions, go ahead and throw them in now. Speak now. Forever hold your peace. I will also be up early in the morning doing rankings, so finalizing those. So if you have any questions in the morning, you can hit me up on the Discord channel on the Muzio members side. You can also shoot me a message on Twitter. I don't check Twitter as frequently on Sunday mornings, so I'm always in Discord though as I'm doing rankings. So make sure that you hit me in Discord, or if you get me on Twitter, sometimes I don't catch it until like 10 minutes before kickoff. So it's very possible I miss it on Twitter. So just make sure you message me in Discord. I'll get to them, and I'm going to be doing rankings in the morning. If you're on the full-time site, I'm gonna just post it in the chat right now for you guys, so you can take a look. So if you have any questions, this gets updated as news comes in the morning. So here it's boom, it's in the chat right now. That is the week 4 rankings. So that's the week 4 rankings right there at the Full Time Fantasy. That's my rankings and Jody's rankings. We are editing half-point PPR only in the morning, so don't go to the full PPR. You don't go to the standard. Go to the full, or go to half point. And even if you are in a full point PPR, you can kind of get the gist of where we have players ranked. because news comes in all morning. We get the actives and inactive list hour and a half before kickoff, and people get moved up and down. I mean, people can jump 10 spots in a ranking based upon someone being inactive. So, if not more, like honestly, if had we gotten the Chark news in the morning, like Reynolds would have jumped up like 50 spots or 40 spots in the rankings. So that type of news drastically affects rankings. So check it at like 9 o'clock, 9:30. It'll be finalized usually by then. And then that gives you 30 minutes to go through your lineups, 30 minutes to do GBP lineups or cash game lineups on DFS, whatever it may be. Again, Discord, hit me up. And I think that's it, boys. So thanks, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night. Good luck in your week 4 matchups. Bye-bye.